Welcome to this brief video on the 5-ingredient powder with Poria, or Wu Ling San in Chinese. This is a classic formula for treating dampness in different circumstances. Its purpose is to maintain healthy water metabolism by promoting urination. It has proved useful for treating edema and urinary problems, and there is some evidence that it improves kidney function and protects the liver. Wu Ling San does not translate very easily. Wu means 5, and San means a powder. Ling is used in the names of a number of herbs, including Poria, but it has no meaning of its own. Hence the formula's English name of 5-ingredient powder with Poria. Wu Ling San belongs to the category of formulas that expel dampness, more specifically those that promote urination to percolate dampness. Wu Ling San first appears in the Shang Han Lun, where it is mentioned in 8 clauses. It features prominently in a later part of the section on Taiyang diseases. In this section, it is proposed that the pathogen moves from the more external channels to the corresponding Taiyang Fu organ, which is the urinary bladder. There it combines with water to create water retention or amassment. The classic signs and symptoms for this formula include inhibited urination. As this is a Taiyang disease, the pulse will be floating. The patient will also be experiencing thirst. These symptoms will often be accompanied by fever and possibly a feeling of vexation. As an aside, it's interesting to look at the Taiyang section of the Shang Han Lun in the context of the management of fluids in the body. In fact, the urinary bladder channel can be viewed as a long waterfall flowing down the back of the body. In the earlier part, the disease has mostly superficial features. There is a lot of attention to the presence and absence of sweat in the patient, and how it is managed with the various proposed formulas. A later part deals with internal problems such as water and blood amassment, and these are dealt with by treating the accompanying urinary problems. Wu Ling San also features in the Jingui Yao Lue. It appears in chapter 12, which is concerned with phlegm fluid retention, and also in chapter 13, which is concerned with dispersion thirst and inhibited urination. We can make a pertinent comparison with Dangui Xiaoyao San, as the two formulas have 3 herbs in common, and classically both have been administered as powders. The resolution of dampness is important in both formulas, but Dangui Xiaoyao San is mainly about nourishing blood and regulating the liver. Another difference is that in prescribing Dangui Xiaoyao San, there is a dominant herb, while in Wu Ling San, the herbs are prescribed in somewhat similar proportions. Although the two formulas have different objectives, we can make a useful comparison with Liu Wei Di Huang Wan. Both are relatively simple formulas, and they share 2 draining herbs in common, Xie and Fu Ling. In Wu Ling San, the draining process is primary and is accomplished by 3 herbs in the formula. This helps to promote the transformation function of qi which has been damaged. This is a warming formula that supplements yang. In Liu Wei Di Huang Wan, the draining process is secondary, helping to send the qi downwards. This formula is used for supplementing yin and essence. Wu Ling San treats problems where the body retains an excess of fluids caused by inadequate transformation. Liu Wei Di Huang Wan treats problems associated with a lack of moisture retention. Wu Ling San consists of 5 ingredients, that is 3 plant herbs and 2 fungi. The plant herbs are Xie or alisma rhizome, Baizhu or Atractylodes rhizome, and Guizhi or cinnamon twig. The fungi are Wu Ling or Polyporus, and Fu Ling or Poria. This slide gives the ingredient dosage for ingestion, either as a powder or as a decoction. The powder form should be taken with boiled water 3 times a day. These are the ingredient doses from the original Shang Han Lun text. Xie is Oriental water plantain or alisma rhizome. It is sweet, bland and cold, and associated with the kidneys and the bladder. This is a diuretic herb that disinhibits water and leaches out dampness. It discharges heat associated with ministerial fire and clears turbidity. Incidentally, in China it is also prescribed for weight loss. It should be used with caution if there is sunken qi in the middle jiao, an assessment that is often associated with persistent diarrhea. Fu Ling or Poria is a large mushroom that grows underground on the roots of red pine trees. It looks like a coconut and has a dark brown exterior and a white interior. It is important for controlling dampness in the spleen. Although you'll often find it in cubes, the great physician Zhang Xichun preferred to use it thinly sliced. The nature of Fu Ling is sweet, bland and neutral. It is associated with the heart, spleen, kidney and lungs. Fu Ling leaches dampness in the spleen, thereby allowing it to efficiently transform food nutrients into qi and blood. It is mild but recognized as being effective, and it is very often prescribed by Chinese physicians. It is also beneficial for the heart and helps treat insomnia. Neither Fu Ling nor Zhu Ling should be used when there is yin deficiency. Zhu Ling is the fungus polyporus. It is sweet, bland and slightly cool, and associated with the spleen, kidneys and urinary bladder channels. It promotes urination, leaches out dampness and facilitates fluid metabolism. Zhu Ling promotes urination more strongly than Fu Ling, but does not tonify the spleen, which is why Fu Ling is more commonly prescribed in formulas. Baizhu is white Atractylodes root. It is frequently found in Zhang Zhongjing's formulas. It is bitter, sweet and warm, and associated with the spleen and stomach. Like Fu Ling, it dries dampness and disinhibits water. It is also used to calm the fetus in pregnant women. As a drying herb, it should be avoided when there is heat from yin deficiency or if fluids are exhausted. Guizhi is cinnamon twig, and it is one of the most discussed herbs in the Chinese pharmacopoeia, featuring prominently in many formulas in the Shang Han Lun. Guizhi is acrid, sweet, light and warm, and associated with the heart, lungs and urinary bladder channels. Guizhi induces sweat and releases the exterior. It disperses cold and stops pain, unblocks yang and promotes qi transformation. It plays many other roles, but these are outside the scope of this presentation. Like Baizhu, it should be avoided when there is heat from yin deficiency. Wu Ling San regulates water circulation, dispels dampness, warms yang, and disperses water accumulation. It treats water amassment caused by inhibited qi transformation in the urinary bladder channel. Although zexie is a cold herb, the formula in general is regarded as being somewhat warming. Its main features arise from the 4 herbs that treat dampness. Zexie is the jun or sovereign herb. Fu Ling and Zhu Ling are the minister herbs, supporting zexie's diuretic function. Baizhu and Fu Ling are often considered as paired herbs, where Baizhu's drying and supplementing qualities combine with Fu Ling's property of disinhibiting urination to treat dampness and supplement the spleen. Finally, Guizhi releases the Taiyang exterior syndrome. It promotes the flow of yang qi and invigorates the function of the urinary bladder. The main signs and symptoms associated with Wu Ling San are edema, urinary problems, headache with a slight fever, and irritability. These are usually accompanied by a strong feeling of thirst. The pulse is floating or floating and rapid, and the tongue often has a white coating. These signs and symptoms have often been associated with nephritis, kidney stones, UTI, and certain liver problems. As the formula eliminates excess fluids, it should not be used when there is yin deficiency or body fluids are depleted. This is especially the case when there is excessive perspiration, vomiting or diarrhea. It's very important not to use this formula for prolonged periods. It's best to use it intermittently with a yin nourishing formula. Other herbs may be added to support the spleen and kidneys, to help with water metabolism. This is a final summary for Wu Ling San. I hope you found this video useful and will join me for other videos in this series.